Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Cody Thomas. Now, before we get you back to Utah, a quick update on some of the other cases we're tracking here today. First, in Florida, Mario Fernandez Saldana appeared in court today for a status hearing. Now, Fernandez and Shanna Gardner's trials were severed, and Fernandez will go to trial first for his alleged role in the killing of Microsoft executive Jared Bridegan. Now, attorneys will return next week for a motions hearing. Jury selection begins in August. Also in New Mexico, it's day 2 of testimony in the bloody sword murder trial where Isaac Apodaca is accused of manipulating his then-girlfriend Kiera McCulley into killing their ex-girlfriend Grace Jennings. Now, earlier today, McCulley's mother took the stand testifying about Kiera prostituting herself.
How do you know that Kiara was prostituting?
I found out because a gentleman was walking onto my property, and I asked her who he was, and she explained it to me.
And in your conversation with Isaac Apodaca and Kiara, what did you tell them?
It was to end immediately.
And when you say it was to end immediately, what do you mean?
The prostitution.
And in South Carolina, prosecutors are asking previously sealed records from Alex Murdaugh's first trial to be released. They're seeking investigative material from the 2023 trial be made public. Murdaugh is receiving a new trial for the murders of his wife Maggie and son Paul after the South Carolina Supreme Court overturned his conviction earlier this year. Well, back now to Utah, where the high-profile preliminary hearing for Tyler Robinson continues. The 23-year-old is charged with aggravated murder in the shooting death of Charlie Kirk. This is the first extended look at the evidence as a judge decides whether the case will advance to a murder trial. Now, arguably, one of the biggest pieces of evidence was shown earlier, Tyler Robinson's alleged text message confession.
From Tyler. It says, drop what you're doing, look under your keyboard.
And I apologize, let me stop you there. How do you know that that message would have been from Tyler Robinson?
Then Lance responds, he says, what? And then he says, you're joking, right? And then Tyler says, I tried to delete that. And Tyler says, I'm still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer yet. Shouldn't be long until I can come home, but gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret till I died of old age. I am sorry to involve you. And then Lance replies, you weren't the one who did it, right? And Tyler says, I am, I'm sorry.
An alleged confession. Let's get you back into that Utah courtroom.
Did you search the closet on the first floor?
Yes, I did.
What did you find in the closet?
In the closet, we found on the ground some shooting targets with perforations in it, as well as on the shelf, we found a Dremel tool with bits container.
All right, a Dremel tool with bits. What is a Dremel tool?
It's basically like a handheld device where you can make etchings or engravings on things.
What are bits?
Bits would be I guess like a sharp edge or something that would actually cause the etchings that you would put into the tool.
Is this kind of like a drill bit?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do with the Dremel and the bits?
We photographed them in place, took additional pictures, packaged them, then sent them for testing to the ATF.
All right, you also mentioned targets. Were those targets photographed?
Yes, they were.
I want to show you on your end. Have you reviewed Plaintiff's Exhibit 25 before?
Yes.
And is that an accurate photograph of those targets that you found?
Yes.
I move the admission of State's Exhibit 25.
Mr. Burt?
No further objections?
All right, I note the standing objection, and those objections are overruled.
And excuse me, sorry.
Oh, well, did you want to, in regards to publication?
Yes, I'm so used to admission before publishing. I would move to publish those at all 3 levels.
All right. Any further comment, Mr. Burt?
No further objections.
Again, all right, noting the standing objections, those are overruled. State's Exhibit 25 is admitted into evidence and may be published in the courtroom as well as captured by the media camera.
Will you describe what we're looking at here?
Yes, so these were shooting targets we found in the closet, and each of them have perforations in them.
When you say perforations, what do you mean?
Holes in them.
Those holes consistent with?
Objection. Foundation on this opinion.
Mr. McBride, do you want to weigh in upon that objection?
No, I'll submit it. I'll lay the foundation if the objection is sustained.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right. Holes. Have you ever shot a gun before?
Yes, I have.
When you hit a target, what happens to the target when it's hit with a bullet?
A hit with a bullet, there's holes in there, what we call perforations, because there's a entrance as well as an exit.
Looking at State's Exhibit 25, I'm going to ask the question that was objected to. You said there's perforations in those. Are those consistent with bullet holes?
Yes.
And I would ask you to describe where those perforations are there's 3 targets here, right?
Yes.
Let's look at the far right target first. Where are the perforations in relation to the bullseye?
They're all probably within the 7, 6, and 8 ring.
Is there a perforation up at the upper left-hand corner of that rightmost target?
Yes, there is.
Do any of those hit the bullseye?
No.
Okay, looking at the center target, will you describe where the perforations are in relation to the bullseye there?
It is closer, but still not it. Most of them are to the left of the bullseye in rings, let's say 9 and 8.
All right, and then the leftmost target, will you describe where the perforations are there?
Yep. The perforations are actually closer to the bullseye as well, actually one being in it.
All right, you described also collecting a burnt note. We can take down 25. Thank you. Will you describe where that note was found and what it looked like to you?
Yeah, the burnt note was found in the trash can located in the kitchen. The way it looked like to me, it looked like, say you're at like a campfire and someone burns paper.
What was done with that?
That was also collected and that was sent to the FBI for analysis.
Was it photographed?
Yes, it was.
And have you reviewed State's Exhibit 24?
Yes.
Is that a photograph of the note?
Yes.
I move the admission of Plaintiff's Exhibit 24.
Mr. Burt?
No further objections.
All right, and to publication?
I move to publish at all 3 levels.
All right, I'm going to note the standing objection by defense, overrule those objections. And State's Exhibit 24 is admitted into evidence and may be published in the courtroom and may be captured by the media camera.
Do you see here on...
All right, still with us is our criminal defense attorney, Michael Gottlieb. Michael, I just want to get your overall thoughts on these bullet casings. I mean, you got test shot inscribed in one of the casings. Then you got, like, looks like what it was, like a cheat code that goes along with some popular video game. I mean, what are you making of this? This is very interesting to me.
Well, I think what's most important about the bullet casings is, number one, it's the same kind of ammunition that they found with the murder weapon was found in the house. So that's pretty telling, number one. Number two, what you're seeing, and I think that this can cut both ways, you're showing premeditation, that the bullets were carved out, with odd sayings, so it shows premeditation. But it also may show a significant mental health problem, an illness that may provide the defense with some kind of, maybe not a defense, maybe he was insane, maybe not insane, but certainly mitigation at some point in time, that there was a disturbance that was going on with him to the level, that he had a Dremel and was carving bullets and putting inscriptions in them. So I think that evidence kind of cuts both ways, but it definitely hurts more than it helps.
And that's kind of where I was going to go, Michael. I was going to ask you, if this thing does go to trial, what sort of defense strategy do you see? It seems like insanity or something like that might be the only avenue if they get to that point. Because, I mean, you got things like this, to your point you're making, you got these confessions, and I don't know if they could argue maybe an excited utterance that he was just so, pent up that he had to go do this. Where do you see that if it goes to trial? We're not there yet. We're still in the preliminary hearing. Where do you see that being, or what kind of defense do you see maybe coming into play here?
So I think you could try to go with an insanity defense, except that the activities are incredibly well planned out, very goal directed, you know, and that sort of cuts against insanity, which is, you know, not knowing right from wrong. There's an apology immediately after. I wanted to keep this in the dark. I think it's going to be very, very difficult to launch an insanity defense. The best defense is likely, I'm not the one who did it, even though I wanted to and I planned it. Somebody beat me to it. They'll have to prove that somebody else, you know, the defense will have to suggest somebody else was the shooter. It wasn't me.
And Michael, something I brought up, you know, through the entirety of this thing this whole week is that, you know, I felt like there was enough evidence probably on day one to point towards probable cause to send this thing to trial, but yet here we are on day 4 and expected to go day 5. You know, what's the reason we're really here, and why are we stretching this out so far? Is it the prosecution wants to dot every I and cross every T? You know, why go this long and take this much time? Do they want to, you know, make sure they avoid any sort of appellate issues down the line if it gets to that point? Why do you think this is so drawn out?
I mean, first and foremost, you have the eyes of the world watching you, right? So it's a really significant case. And there's a lot of people on both sides of the fence who some say it's a conspiracy theory and some say, you know, he absolutely did it. So you need to appease both of them, if you will. And the prosecution's going to take their time. They didn't go to a grand jury. They filed this case by information. That means that a prosecutor swore out an information. So there is no grand jury that properly vetted this information, came to a conclusion that Robinson is the person who did it. So this is that grand jury proceeding. That grand jury proceeding wouldn't be done in a day. This shouldn't be rushed either. If I'm the prosecutor, I don't want to rush it.
Absolutely. Michael Gottlieb, thanks so much for joining us on the program today, my friend. Always great to see you, folks. Stand by. We'll continue here in Utah after this short break. Keep it here on your front row seat to justice.